It is 5:02. Call the policy subcommittee meeting for January 5th, 2022 to order. We have a review of the minutes.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second, any discussion? All in favor? So we have 6 policies to review. So the first one is EEAA, video and audio surveillance on school property. This is an update from a previous policy.
So it doesn't look, those are old notes on here. Do we know if that?
If the notes have been answered.
Yeah.
I am not aware that we've gotten answers for these.
Okay.
Phyllis went home sick. Tom
Tom's out.
is out, so I don't know where we're sitting with these.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right. Thank you for being here.
So
Yes.
what question, I guess what we could do is we could review these, all of them, and then whatever questions we have,
We can just,
we can then talk about them in our next meeting. If we have no questions on the ones that we don't have, we can move forward to the board. So what questions did we have for this one? That's okay.
turn that off.
I had a question in the section that talks about, in section D, additional video and audio recordings authorized. It lists drama activities, and I know that sometimes there are copyrights. It says the school board permits the video and audio recording. There are oftentimes copyright restrictions on recording.
Yes, because we get
those.
copyrights to do those plays or musicals.
Exactly. So I wonder if we want to just add, a section where, where copyright permits or something.
Right.
I think that's a good point, Tammy,
It is.
because we don't own the rights to that.
Maybe it should say something like, the school board permits the video and audio recording of the following school-related activities pending copyright permissions or whatever it is. Like, it could just be as simple as that.
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
And I'm
Because-
terrible at editing, so.
I can edit.
Okay.
That's
So the school board permits video and audio recordings of the following school activities pending copyright, or how did you say that?
I think it's pending copyright.
Oh, you know what? I don't think I can edit.
I don't think I do too. No.
So where, could I probably do
So-
D, in the first sentence, just a
D,
D, yeah.
Additional video.
The school
permits
board,
the video and audio recording of following school. You want it in that first sentence?
Yes.
yeah, like,
Permitting copyright requirements.
I'm gonna put that in red, so I can explain to Phyllis what was.
Yep.
Okay.
thank you.
Future and then.
Another question. I don't know if it was, I had a question on this. I think it was the one on the buses, because I think Matt or someone asked a good question.
Yeah,
When we get to that one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So do we still need parent permission? Troy is going to ask. Troy is going to ask. Will. Still need the answer on
I
that.
need to answer that.
Because I know for any photography or any video, audio, like we have to sign forms as parents.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So then what we will do, if there's no further questions, we will hold this one to our next meeting.
Tom's trying to be part of the meeting. He keeps texting.
Well, he was texting,
He
someone
told
was
me
texting.
he was not, because he didn't want to be on it, so, he didn't want to be on Zoom, so. ECAF, audio and video surveillance on school buses. This is the one that I have some concern about. So Matt's question was, we don't own the buses, are we allowed to do this?
Right.
Which was kind of my question too, like, we have a contract with them.
Right.
But
For the signs, to display the signs.
It probably could be written into the contract that the school district can put signage explaining blah, 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 whatever.
But are we even allowed to have, I know they have video and audio on the bus per their own contract. But are we allowed to dictate what happens on the buses?
As far as putting a sign, or
Like having the recordings and access to them?
I think that's
we
part of the
have
contract.
Okay.
I think that's part of the contract, because I know in a lot of discipline issues that I've been involved in the past as a building principal, you need to see that sometimes.
Yes.
Yes.
And you want to at least get a third perspective of what actually happened, and so it's there for that.
So then I guess that's just the one question that we need to get, is there clarification about the signage?
Yep.
Any other questions on this? I did not as well. So would we like to make a motion to move this for first read?
Do we need to figure out?
Oh, do we need to figure out the first
company
one?
Stuff.
Yeah,
First.
does EEAA connect, I assume they connect?
I think ECAF would be first. Yeah, I don't think that, well, wait a minute. This EEAA references ECAF, but,
ECAF references EEAF.
oh, Jesus, so they're,
So
they're stuck.
They're
Okay.
Glued together.
They're
So then we will-
intertwined, so I think we need to
we
table.
We have no further questions, but we will hold this based on waiting for EEAA.
Yep.
Okay. EBCA emergency plans. So my question was, this seems to be like a lump. It's for crisis prevention and emergency response. Whereas I'm just looking from like a mental health, I feel like crisis prevention is like what you would do would be drastically different. But is this just the overall arching, like we're gonna have these plans?
Right, it's
Okay.
for both of them, and we do have both. And one of the comments that was in here talked about, what the state is requiring of us compared to what this policy says. The state expects us to update and resubmit a new one every year, regardless of if there's any changes. The change could be nothing. We still
Okay.
have to send them a new plan every year. Where this just says the only time you need to send them a new plan is if you make a change.
Okay,
So that there's a little bit of a contradiction there in what the state is expecting, but it might be more who's running the department at the state level than what the policy says, if that makes sense. I think whoever's in charge of Department of Homeland Security wants it every year, but this plan is just saying no need to change it.
so like we have to update our plans annually, and it's usually the same plan, but I usually just update, save it, add a new cover letter
Yep.
and send it on.
Yep. That's what we've got to do.
All right, there were some discussions
Yeah, there's something
on the side about Seabrook Response plans being in a central location. But I'm not sure if that's just more internal versus policy.
That's more internal
that
stuff,
is.
yeah. Because I know that Phyllis has copies of all of the Homeland Security emergency response plans for each building at her desk or behind her desk.
Okay.
And then the rest of these, I think we just have to figure out, do we have them all at the central office? Are they all at the high school? Who has them? Where are they?
Any other questions or discussion? Would we like to move this to first read?
Yeah.
I make a motion to bring EBCA to the board for first reading. Second.
All in favor? EEA, Student Transportation Services.
Yeah. There's a lot of. And there was the, please ask Will a couple of times in here. So without Tom or Phyllis, I don't know what the answers are.
So would we like to hold this then?
Might be two of us, based on some of the things they're asking about. Probably should get some input on what the answers were.
Okay. So the next one is EEA EA-R- driving alcohol testing for school bus and commercial vehicles.
It looks like there's a question here. And I don't know if anybody has the answer to that. I don't know if that's necessary to be clarified here in this policy. Or if it doesn't matter as long as it's just stated that random testing will happen. Sorry, page 2.
Who's responsible?
Yeah, who's responsible? I don't know that it's necessary to have the responsible party listed, or I don't know if that makes a difference or not.
I don't think it's going to make a difference. Because when I read through this, it talks about if we're contracting with a bus company, and this is a requirement,
Mhm.
that would have to be something
Yes.
in the contract with the bus company that
Right.
you must adhere to all of our policies, and this is one of our policies, and therefore, if you're putting in an RFP for this, you need to be able to
Yes.
perform.
And it's standard procedure for any transportation company to do random.
That's what I figured,
Mhm.
so.
I mean, it's usually the transportation company. Even if they're subcontract, like, even if you're subcontracted, it's whoever is like the owner.
Right. When you pay the fees for the services, that's part of what you're paying for.
This is a new policy, looks like.
Yeah.
This was the legal.
Yeah.
It's a pretty standard drug and alcohol testing for commercial vehicles.
I didn't see anything that jumped out at me. make a motion to bring policy EEAEA-R to the board for first read.
Second that.
All in favor? Last is new FAA annual facility plan.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
According to how I'm reading this,
We should have had one already.
oh, maybe that too, but the state wants our facilities to be able to have, first, want to be offered for, have first, right of first refusal to unused facilities. Is this the one?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Talking about unused to
Yeah.
charter schools or whatever. They're to be encumbered, to give them the right, I guess it's the RSA, it may not be the Department of Education, apparently there's an RSA. Right. That takes our unused facilities and encumbers them to charter schools. I thought that was kind of interesting. Having a local control.
I wonder if it goes back to them trying to expand more charter schools.
It looks like that's the
I imagine.
intent.
It doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound optional, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't,
So,
yeah, it didn't sound optional, that's for sure.
just good questions on this kind of thing.
If it's based on.
Yeah.
So, we don't have to love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't, yeah.
Just makes me worry that like they could take access to our buildings.
But it does say, I mean, it does look like in here, it's if you have facilities that are not being used and they have to we have to refer to them as unused facilities. You have to like say like, we're not using this building.
Yeah.
You have to state that flat out, like, we're not using it, it's open. We're not touching it, is kind of the way I read this. So like, at this point, I don't think we have anything that is unused.
Yeah, no,
So we're not
anymore.
gonna have an issue right now. Down the road, I don't know what that would look like.
But that would also probably have you make decisions in a different way if you don't want to have an unused facility.
You can
Move
choose
things around
exactly
to
to make sure
use
that
parts of the facility. I mean,
they're being used.
there's no statement, at least in here, that says what percentage or what amount of that
Exactly.
facility
It's just
has to
saying,
be
is it
used.
Well, that's like the
unused?
middle school, it's only being partially used.
Right.
Right, but it's rented
You
out.
could use
so
one closet in the
can't-
facility and it's being used.
Right, yeah, so, yeah.
And it
I-
doesn't say you have to give it away for free.
No, it just says that they have right of first refusal.
Right.
So if it's unused, they get to let them know first, and then after that, we get to move forward.
Mhm.
So, yeah. It doesn't say like, it's not like an eminent domain thing where they just come take it.
Yeah.
You know, this is a first refusal. It doesn't specify anything more than that. So we have to really look at that RSA to figure out what it is, but at this point, I don't think.
I wonder what this,
Adopt it.
what does the state think? How many unused facilities do you think there are?
Maybe they're trying to find out.
mean,
This is
That
what
that could be a way
they're
that they're trying to figure it out,
They're
yeah.
trying to account for, yeah, yeah, I mean, that's all I can think of is, they're trying to get a handle on how many buildings are open, unused, and they can do possibly other things in, because it's, I mean, it talks right in here about, charter schools, things like that, so. Yeah,
Have any other discussion?
no, I think we just need to move it forward and.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to move policy FAA to the board for first reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Nice when it goes that way.
Granted, there's a couple that, we had to push off, but that's
So we could
okay.
have said we slid through them and gone with the weather analogy.
Yeah, right. Oh my
Slid right
gosh.
through those.
Slid through.
So our next meeting will be February 2nd, 2022 at 5 o'clock. Groundhog Day.
2/2/22.
2/2/22.
Busy day.